is the Computer Programming University. And what we're doing right now is I'm going to show you guys, we just did a lesson on a basic for loop. Now, what I want to do this time around is I want to actually show you guys a practical example for using the for loop. So previously it's just like, oh, this is the for loop. You can just put in a bunch of, so let's say, so it's for variable in sequence colon and then whatever you want done, right? Okay, yeah, I get it. It's cool. I like it. But what do you actually do with that? I want to give you a practical example. Now, as you know, we're going to be doing Python for finance in the future. So we're going to be heading towards doing some financial applications. So I thought I'd give you guys a little bit of insider information. So I'm going to base this tutorial on some of the types of things that you might be tasked to do at a financial company if you were a developer there. Now, this is knowledge that you can use in any industry, but just for reference. So here's the idea. I want to use the for loop to actually configure a bunch of connections. So let's say you have a sort of a trading server that's used for sending out trades and things like that. And you guys listening in, click on the like button. Also, let me know if the sound quality is good. It should be good. I did some testing before now, so this should be good sound. So anyway, so you want to configure this trade processing or trade server, right? Now, let's say that you were tasked with creating an administrative program to automate the configuration. So the trade server uses, for example, let's say it uses an XML configuration file, right? So when the trade server runs, whatever software is on there, it reads the XML files to be able to, have certain parameters. So for example, you have a bunch of sessions or connections that are configured with that trade server. So each one of those connections are configured in this XML file, right? So let's say you want to add a whole bunch of new users. So a new user would be like a new client. So let's say you have a bunch of new users that are going to connect to the trade server, right? Now, of course, you could manually go in vim or whatever and edit the file, or you could automate the process somewhat by creating a Python script that actually helps you to modify the XML file, right? So let's do that. So let's first of all smash that like. All right. So let's go over to the gedit. This is a class that I'm going to be doing when we do classes in the future. We're going to do Python classes. But for right now, what I want to do is we're going to use this as the block from the XML file. So imagine there's an XML file that you use to configure the trade server, right? And the user IDs are configured using this block, right? So you have a section called trade user, right? And then you have some ID parameter. I just set it to fixed broker for the fixed protocol, which is a protocol used to transmit orders electronically, very commonly used protocol. And then we have a username block, and then there's username value, and then we have an engine and security type, so it could be equities, options, whatever. So this is the information that we want to configure. Now, you could go in and configure it manually, add a username, and it potentially make some mistakes and things like that. Or you can create an administrative program in Python to do it for you. So let's look at how that would work. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this block, copy it. We're going to create a new file. Let's just put this down here. Let's do our shebang. Let's get right into it, guys. Shebang, user bin, and then we do env, the env program, and we're going to send it the argument of Python 3. We want to use Python 3 interpreter. And now let's get into doing a little sort of pseudocode, a little notation on what we're trying to do here. Let's also activate the highlight mode for Python. So we can go down here to Python, and where is this guy? Here we go. Python 3, boom. All right, so we're getting ready to get started here. Let me create a highlight for this video. Get player time. All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and create an application in Python that can be used to configure, let's say, a trade server, right? So a trade server uses an XML file for its configuration. You can go in and manually edit those values, or you could create an application that does it. So that's what we're going to do here. So I already created my initial file. So we have our shebang right here, indicating we're using the Python 3 interpreter. And now I'm putting some notes here. So we're going to say input user IDs, and then we can say output user IDs to XML config file. Now I'm not gonna actually do input output. We haven't covered input output yet, so I'm not gonna do that here. What I am going to do is we're just going to print out. We're going to print it out. So I just want to show you how we can take these variables and actually potentially output the XML format, right? So we're just going to use the print command for that. So what I'm going to do is we're going to ask for user IDs. So user IDs, I like to use lowercase for that. User IDs equals input, and then we can do this, and then we can say let's prompt them for enter user ID. Okay, and then we do that, and then we do so user IDs equals input enter user IDs. All right, so just as a test, what we're gonna do here, and let's put the block. So we have the block of code down here. Let's comment that out. For now, we don't want it to mess with our program because we're not ready for this yet. This is the actual XML format, right? So we don't want to just have this in our Python script. That's funky stuff. We're gonna need to put that into a string or a variable someplace that it's safe from the interpreter trying to process it and say, what is all this stuff, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna first test out this user input function. So let's go ahead and save this and call this add group of user IDs number 2 py. Let's save that. So it is saved, and now let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. So we can go here, and see what's going on. So we see here we have our file there. Let's make sure it is executable. So we do plus 777 and we do add number 2, and boom. So now what we're going to do is we are going to Python 3 add and do number 2.py, and it says enter user ID. So I'll say user ID. Boom. Okay, so that works. Now what we should have done, so that just shows that there's no errors, but what we should have done to really test this out, I like to print out, you know, whatever it is I've set up here to see that it's actually working properly. So print user IDs. So whatever user IDs, you know, whatever user IDs are entered, I want to print that out just to see that it's working properly, right? Proof of concept. So CLS and okay, user ID 1. Okay, so it prints it out, so we know this works fine. All right. So let's close that out. Let's go back to our script here in gedit. I don't know why I have this window so small like that. Let's make it bigger. All right, so that works fine. So now what we want to do is we actually wanted, the whole point of this is to use the for loops. I want to have a bunch of user IDs. So we have a variable called user IDs, and what we're going to do is we are going to take whatever arguments you enter here and pass them to the loop. So instead of just printing the user IDs, let's just say for usernames in. All right, I got 30 minutes to get this thing done. All right, so for usernames in, and let's in the user IDs. All right, so we're gonna do that, and let's do our colon. That looks good. And then we do this. We do our indentation here. And now what I can do is we can print the user IDs, and actually what I'm going to do is let us take this and actually, let's see, let's copy that out of there. Let's go up here, output XML files. Let's go here. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab this format. And we're going to print that stuff out. So just to make sure that this is working properly, always test things out before you get too complicated. So I'm putting that in single quotes and parentheses, and we're going to see if that works. So far, all we're doing is for usernames, we're going to in the value of user IDs that we set here. We're inputting user IDs here, and we're not actually using that yet. I just want to make sure that there's no problems here with quotes and all this kind of stuff. Let's just see if we can print this out properly. That's all I'm testing for the moment. So we can go ahead and save this, minimize that, go back to our terminal, and we can clear the screen. Oh, Mega Noob is awesome. That's nice. All right, so let's go and do this and say user ID 1. Okay, so you see it does trade user ID equals fixed broker, trade user equals fixed broker, trade equals fixed broker. So it keeps doing that over and over again. So we were able to successfully print out what we wanted here for the XML file. Okay, so let's clear the screen. Nora's Ellie is awesome. All right. Okay, so let's go back to gedit and let's continue. Go down the line here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to, let's get rid of this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to say print, and we're going to do this and single quote. Let's just copy that so we don't have to do it over and over again. Delete that, paste that, delete that, paste that. So I'm taking all these values for the XML file and I'm going to print them out. Now obviously we need to indent for our for loop. All of your statements have to be indented. Now let's end these with the single quote and parentheses. Let's copy that, go here, go there, boom, and boom. Just pasting it at the end. Security type is at the end there. All right, trade user, that's the final one. So that's the end of our file. So now let's just test this out and make sure this actually works. You guys listening in live, go ahead and click on the like button. Really appreciate that. That is for the benefit of YouTube. YouTube needs to know whether you actually like the video or not. So go ahead and click on the like button. All right, so user ID 1, user ID 2, and enter. Okay, so there you go. So it is printing out our XML block like we wanted to. Now what we're going to do is go back in here and we're going to actually make this a variable. So we're saying for usernames, right? Whenever you call on this variable, you're going to get the values from whatever was entered up here for user IDs, right? Whatever was entered up here is going to feed usernames, right? So what we want to do here is we want to actually add the variable in here instead of just, this is all part of the string, right? So what we want to do is I can just put an S there. I can close out this initial string, separate the variable with a comma, right? And then now this is actually the variable name, usernames, right? That we're setting in the for loop. And I can separate it with a comma again to add the final string, which is the rest of this block. Now we're good. So now we have this string, this variable, and then this string is what's going to be printed out for that line. So let's go ahead and test that out, make sure that actually works. Goes that out, and boom, user ID 1. We just did 1, that's fine. So as you can see, the 1 comes out of there for the user ID. Okay. So let's go ahead and clear the screen and let's go back to gedit in the house. So now I want to populate the engine. So let's do a single quote, comma, single quote. And let's do, for equities, let's do single quote, comma, single quote. All right. The rest of that's just going to be the string. And trade user, that's the end of the block. That's for security type. Okay, so for engine, we're just gonna say engine, right? Comma, the string, the final string. Here we're going to say, let's call a variable sec type, comma, the rest of the string. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we have to actually define these variables. So let's go up here and let's get that information. So we already have usernames. Now we need to add engine. So let's go engine equals, and let's say input, and let's do that, and enter engine. All right, let's copy that so we don't have to type that again. And this one's going to be enter security type. So security type is like options, equities, you know, what kind of instrument that you are trading, right? So stocks, bonds, you know what I mean? So let's do sec type, I think is what we called it, sec type. So we're creating a variable called engine and one called sec type, and the user is going to enter what these values are after being prompted enter engine, and then prompted enter security type. Okay, so let's see. I think what we have right here should work. So let's save this and go back to the interpreter or prompt, and let's just see what happens. So user 1 and user 2. All right. Enter engine. So engine is going to be the IP address of the engine. So let's just say it's 192.12. Doesn't really matter. All of them are going to get the same engine because we didn't put that in the for loop. So this is going to be a fixed value. So everyone's getting the same engine, same IP address. Everyone's getting the same security type, but the users will change. So security type, let's call it bonds. Okay? Or bond, I guess. Let's do that. James Bond. Shaken, not stirred. Okay, so let's go ahead and I think we're good. Boom. There we go. So we can see the final one, bond, has the IP address, and then user 2 is listed there. Right? So that is basically what we wanted to do, but of course there's always going to be homework for you guys. So let's see who was really paying attention, because there's something that is a little bit strange here, but only if you're really paying attention would you have potentially noticed what is wrong with this program. All right. So I'm going to show you what is wrong. First of all, let me copy this and paste it in the description of this video. For people that didn't get to watch the live stream here in Computer Programming University, they will see the code in the actual description of the video. Something is wonky about this. Something that has to do with this. Only the keen person who was really paying attention would notice something wrong with this. So enter user IDs, and then we're trying to enter multiple user IDs, right? And then we're doing a for loop. So for usernames, we're in user ID. So it's pulling from the user IDs. But how do the user IDs are strings, right? So how are we separating the strings from each other, right? Normally when you do this kind of stuff, what you would do is you would do something like you have a list, right? So you would say user ID 1, comma, user ID 2, right, comma, right, and then the next one. So it'll be that kind of format. So we know when you loop through, you're gonna pull this, and then you're gonna pull that, right? But the way we're doing this here is you're just entering, you know, freehand, you know, just like it's input. We're using the input, right? And then we're having you just type in something, space something, right? So how do we know that this is one item and that's one item, right? So that's how we're going to set up your homework assignment for today. So let me show you what you guys might have missed if you weren't really paying that much attention. if you were paying attention, you might have noticed that there was some weird behavior happening here. Let's get a full screen view of this. Hopefully my ugly face is not blocking too much stuff here. I'm going to zoom this down a little bit. Let's see if we can make this smaller so you guys can see a little bit more of this. Okay, so let's run this again. Let's clear the screen and run it again. I want you guys to see what's happening. So let's say the first user ID is Mega Noob, one of my top subscribers. Mega Noob, and then the next guy is let's see, Naraz is the next guy. Okay, so those are the two user IDs. So hit enter. It wants to know the engine name, so whatever. A bunch of numbers, dot numbers, dot numbers. That's the weirdest IP address ever. It doesn't really matter, right? Enter security type. So let's just say this time it's going to be options. All right, so pay attention to what happens here. So we hit enter. So it creates all these blocks, but it's only two user IDs. So why is it so much stuff? Right? This is more than two user IDs, right? Look what it's doing. It's actually taking each character of the user as sort of an item in a list, right? So the first username is M, the next one is E, the next one is G, right? So it's breaking it up, right? So your homework assignment is to modify this code so that it does not do that. And you should know by now why it's doing that in terms of the whole idea of putting a string in quotes, right? So let's say, for example, just for educational purposes, let's say we for usernames and user IDs. So let's kill this. Right, so I'm going to remove the ability of, just bear with me 1 second. I got allergies here, and I gotta go blow my nose. I apologize, guys. I'll be right back with you guys, but I'm going to change this to manually create a list rather than have the user enter it, just to prove a point. I'll be back. I'm hurrying. Don't you go anywhere. We are back. Back at it again. We are back at it again. Okay, so let's go back to our lesson. And by the way, do not just watch my videos. Try to use as many resources as possible to learn, if you want to learn Python, if you're really serious about this, right? So we want to use a lot of different sources, right? It's great that I give you guys these live tutorials. You know, I'm working with you guys directly. We're going to have projects that we're going to work on collaboratively as part of the community. If you're new here, definitely click on the subscribe button, but also click on the bell icon. Everyone here who is a subscriber, click on the bell icon so you guys get notified of each video, because I'm not going to keep spamming and doing a bunch of videos to feed into the YouTube algorithm, right? I don't have time for that nonsense. I want to produce quality content as much as I can and focus on that rather than focusing on feeding the YouTube algorithm and what it wants and what's popular, fidget spinners, and no, I want to do quality stuff. So in order for me to do that, I just need for you guys to click on the notifier icon, right? You want better content, that's what I would like for you guys. I'll put in the hard work, I'll do the hours, but that's all I need from you guys. Now let's as far as other resources, so I highly recommend Learn Python the Hard Way. I'm going to put a link to the description that you guys can buy this book. I have a great discount on the book. Highly recommend it. It's a great book. You can look at the reviews yourself. Click on the link. You'll see the reviews. Very, very much recommended. This is the book that I use myself. I use also a lot of resources, which I'm recommending you do as well. Also, go to python.org. They have an online interpreter. So, all right, I got 15 minutes. That's my timer telling me I got 15 minutes. All right, you go to python.org and you got an online interpreter. So anywhere you have an internet connection where you can pull up a browser, you can actually practice Python, and that's an awesome, awesome resource. I have other resources as well I'll be mentioning in future episodes, but let's get back to the lesson. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to remove the ability of the user to specify user IDs just to show you a little something. So let's make user IDs a list. this time. So let's do user IDs equals, let's create a list, and let's manually enter the values. So let's say Mega Noob, an awesome top subscriber. Really appreciate the support. And we're gonna have to give a shout out to all the latest subscribers in just a second. Naraz, so that's the 2 user IDs in a list. So now I'm gonna say for usernames in user IDs. So it's gonna pull from my list, which we have nicely and neatly separated each item in the list, instead of allowing the user to just put it in any format, and then you see the problem we had before, right? So let's see what happens now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna run the script. Let's clear our screen first of all, and we're gonna run this script and see what happens. Enter engine, so it's okay, whatever. So then we do security type as let's do stock, whatever, doesn't matter. And then we hit enter. Look at that! What a difference. So we created our 2 XML blocks. Trade user ID equals fixed broker. Username is Mega Noob. Love you, Mega Noob. Shout out to my top subscribers. And then we have the engine, which is the IP address of the trade engine, trade server, we're going to call it that. And then we have the security type being declared. So this user is trading stocks, and they're using this engine, this trade engine at that IP address. And then we have a second username with the same IP, same server, same security type, right? So this is what your task is. Create the script that will give you the proper output. This is the output that you should get with your script, right? Not this exact IP, but you should be able to have the first user in one block and the second user in the next block, right? Instead of each character from the user ID being put out like that. Now, I've given you all the information you need. You should really be able to figure this out. But that's your homework assignment for today. So go ahead and practice with this. You can go to python.org or do it in your local system, and go ahead and comment below with your scripts, your solutions for today's assignment. So on that note, this is the Computer Programming University, where learning is always fun. My policy here, let's have fun while learning. And we absolutely do that here on the Computer Programming University. All right. I don't know why this thing always disables. All right. Your life is fast. My life is fast. All right, guys. Signing off. This has been a live tutorial training. There'll be much more of this. We're going to be doing some SQL videos as well. We're going to be doing some shell scripting videos as well. And I recommend that you take a look at some of the videos that I have done already, hacking the incognito. And also, let's go ahead and pull that up right now. Computer Programming University. You can go to the main channel page here, and you shall see all of the good stuff that's there. Let me go ahead and show that to you. Let's go back to our static branding. Static branding. Let's go ahead and do a screen capture, and I'm going to show you guys the channel. All right, so there we go. So you guys can see that. Let's bring that up a little bit bigger. So as you can see right here, there is the hacking incognito. We have Unix commands. There's SQL video right here, 24,000 views on that one, pretty good. 500,000 on the SQL video, 554,000. Thank you for all that support. We got a bunch of shell scripting tutorials as well. Oh, 10 minutes left. So definitely go to the channel page and take a look at what we have here. And also, I would like to give a shout out to all of the latest subscribers. Someone Curious, Rosso Vranjevek. I don't know if that's close to how to pronounce it. Pavel S. John and John Alexander, and of course, Mega Noob. Here, everything is about you guys, the subscribers. It's not about me trying to be famous or looking for views and I want to get my likes up. No, when I ask for likes, it's for YouTube. That's what YouTube wants you guys to like. They want you to comment. So if you guys enjoy this kind of content, then every video, every single person that watches it, at least say hi. Don't be rude. Say at least hi. Say anything. Be as engaged as possible. Ask me questions. You know, say hi. You know, if you like the video, say the video was awesome. Everybody click on like if you enjoyed the video, and I really appreciate that. Anyway, on that note, this is Computer Programming University, where learning is always fun. And I'm supposed to sing a song. I don't know what I'm going to sing today. I don't know. I'm really tired. I was up early doing videos and live streams. I did a lot of stuff yesterday as well, live streams. I'm really exhausted. As a matter of fact, I had planned to do a whole bunch of stuff today, but I'm done for the day. I am human, so I think it's time for me to take a break. So I don't even know what I'm gonna sing here. I'm just gonna make something up right now. I'm supposed to sing at the end of every tutorial, but anyway, here we go. This is a computer programming university where learning is fun. Let's have fun while learning. Let's have, oh man, the beat changed. Computer programming university. Computer programming university. Shout out to my CPU squad. Shout out to my CPU squad. Go and click on the bell to get the notifications. Good God. Oh. Wow. Okay, this is getting embarrassing now. All right, I am done. Have an awesome weekend, everyone. This is Computer Programming University. Everybody smile and have a great weekend. Enjoy the weather wherever you are across the globe. It gets buongiorno. You guys probably can't hear what I'm saying. Have a great weekend, guys. I'm out of here. This is Computer Programming University. Remember to smile, and across the globe, buongiorno, salut, wie geht's? And we're out of here. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. As a matter of fact, I had planned to do a whole bunch of stuff. This is a computer programming university where learning is fun. Let's have fun while learning. Let's have, oh man, the beat changed. Computer Programming University. Computer Programming University. Shout out to my CPU squad. Shout out to my CPU squad. Go and click on the bell to get the notifications. You can go now. The video's over. Go to the channel page if you're looking for something else to watch. The main channel page, there's a bunch of videos there that you can look at. But this particular video has concluded. So, go to the channel page, look at another Python tutorial video. There's lots of stuff there. My main channel is Fixed Protocol, which I focus on financial technology as well. You can take a look at that channel as well. Lots of content. Hundreds and hundreds of videos. So you can go now. Goodbye. All right. Timing 2, 5 minutes remaining. 5 minutes remaining. Boom.